Manufacturing is the backbone of our society. It always has been.
It's harder today to find good skilled workers than it has been in the past.
There is a definite shortage of workers that are trained in the United States.
All the old timers are retiring and nobody's taking their place, so it's getting harder and harder to find people who want to work in this industry.
The lack of skilled workers in Colorado and nationwide is actually holding back the economy. There are so many companies here that would like to be able to expand, increase their sales, and they're not able to because they just don't have the people necessary to run the machines.
There is a need. There's a valuable need for training the next generation of machinists, tool makers, manufacturing technicians.
I'm Marilyn Smith, and I've been involved with the CHAMP Grant since it began. The CHAMP Grant has bought an incredible amount of equipment for our colleges.
I came down to take a tour and I was just incredibly impressed with all the new machines they had and all the high quality tools that were being used. So I realized that it was a high quality education and wanted to pursue that.
We acquired another 3D printer. That really allows the students to see the products of what they're drawing on the screen in real life.
The CHAMP Grant also provided the funding so that we could buy a number of printer kits. So we actually have students build from a kit a 3D printer and then print parts. If you just draw a part in a CAD system and you don't actually make the part, you don't see if the parts really fit together.
Without CHAMP providing the funding, we wouldn't have the proper technology, the up-to-date programs that you need to advance in the work field.
It's easier to get people to accept your ideas because you're giving them a hard, solid piece of what you're trying to design for them.
Without the CHAMP Grant, we would have no equipment in here at all.
About 80% of the students' time is actually spent on the floor working on the machines. And without the CHAMP Grant, we would not have been able to buy all the equipment that you see here behind me, and hence the student learning experience would not nearly have been as good as it is right now.
The stuff that you'll see as soon as you walk into a machine shop is the same exact machines here. They're always available to use, and there's plenty of them, so we're not really competing for it.
If you visit CCD and you see their Advanced Manufacturing Center, much of the equipment there was purchased with CHAMP dollars.
The workforce, of course, wants you to come in there with some knowledge of equipment. With the CHAMP Grant, we were able to purchase very expensive, very revolutionary manufacturing equipment. We were able to actually get a lot more hands-on with each equipment. So I know employers have looked at our school, and particularly because of that.
They're doing a much better job of actually training students on the current technologies that are available. Having any sort of hands-on experience where you've actually been there, you've worked on a shop floor, and you understand those processes and the mindset of the people that work there do go a long way in an interview for an engineering job.
What I like about this program is it puts money into the schools that allows them to have the up-to-date tools so that those students can bring value immediately.
The programs that we use are the programs that we use in the job field, so everything that they teach us here is what we're going to use at the work.
Somebody that comes in with the knowledge right away is very helpful because we're so busy around here that we really don't have time to stop and teach everybody like we should.
This grant has helped faculty and staff look at instruction in a new way. Faculty know content, but they may not always know all the bells and whistles of ways that you can put that together in ways that are exciting for students. And instructional designers have been able to do that.
One of the challenges we had was to redesign around 254 advanced manufacturing courses. What we ended up doing was opening up lines of communication with employers and businesses that were going to be impacted by our students and our participants in the CHAMP Grant. We looked at the competencies that the employers were asking for and then we backward designed those into our curriculum.
The precision machining course over at Warren Tech, and they were able to go through and revamp that whole curriculum and give the students more exciting, more useful and challenging projects for them to machine.
We at Red Rocks created the metrology program. We identified the industry expert, we hired that person. He wrote the courses, he tested the courses with students. We went through the process of having all the courses approved through the community college system. We wrote 6 classes that are available to anyone in the community college system.
The navigators were hired to be intensive advisors, intensive case managers for CHAMP.
CHAMP grant navigators are responsible for that one-on-one coaching with our students. They're responsible for helping them work on their interpersonal skills, work on their interviewing skills. They're responsible for making those connections between the student and industry.
We have people in the CHAMP grant that are helping people with resumes and how to figure out, well, how do I present myself to businesses and people, things like that. Those are things that weren't taught in the old days.
What we found is that the navigation services have helped the colleges increase their completion rates by an incredible amount. They found that that has been the highest for students of color. We've seen anywhere from like 40 to 60% increase in the percentage of completers, people who start the program and people who complete.
Our goal at Red Rocks was to have 96 students complete a certificate or a degree at Red Rocks, and over 200 students have done that during the grant.
Susan Frankel, who's a navigator at Lamar, has worked with students who were incarcerated, and one class at a time, getting them through programs so that they then have skills that can make them marketable to an employer. It makes a difference taking somebody from being, I have a past, to be, I have a future.
CHAMP grant also has provided a bunch of tutoring support for students. I've seen many people that, if without tutor support, would probably have failed out of the program.
Student support services make the difference between a successful student and an unsuccessful student. The CHAMP grant has provided some great opportunities for students to interact directly with employers.
During my time in classes, and also while I would help with some of the instruction on classes, we've had a number of people from industry come in and actually talk to us.
Through the grant, we've been able to introduce to industry how they can get involved with the college. Industry has the opportunity to be on campus. They get to interact with students, or they get to interact with other faculty. They see the equipment that we have, they see the resources that we have. They come into the classroom and they talk about what that company does and how they use Revit or CAD or whatever application. Prior to the grant, we never had the resources or the capacity to do that level of outreach.
A lot of the students didn't know about some of the opportunities that existed here at Red Rocks before, and CHAMP has enabled us to pass that information on to them in a more meaningful way, I think.
Through the grant, we've been able to recruit industry representatives to help with teaching at the college.
I can teach here full-time, and also I still get to work in industry and bring the real-world relevant experiences that I experienced.
The instructors are all machinists. They bring in the work experience, which was huge to me. They can tell me what actually goes on in the machine shop.
It's just really nice to know that you don't have to wait to get out there to actually figure this stuff out, when you can have somebody that's been out there for decades and let you know exactly how it's going to be.
When they get on to the machines, they can tell you what they actually do at their exact job. And a lot of our teachers bring in projects that they've been working on at their workplace.
Lockheed Martin has provided some dollars for students to work using CHAMP equipment to build a scale model of the Orion satellite. And the students are working with the employer to do that.
CHAMP created an industry advisory board, so they have 30 to 40 companies in industry, anywhere from small sector manufacturing to large aerospace manufacturing. And they've actually been inviting students to these board meetings to show off their presentations.
The advisory committee is now stronger, since now we have representation from different industry disciplines that are related to the classes we offer.
I've been on kind of their advisory committee for I think the last 3 years now, and it's really nice for us to be able to have a voice and a way to kind of help shape the direction of where they're educating. Being able to go and kind of speak up and let them know what our needs are is really important to us. I mean, that allows us to have that feedback with the colleges, but then allow them to give us some feedback as well, and it's really a good partnership.
I know last year one of the meetings was at Lockheed Martin on their facility. Because of CHAMP, we were able to go out there and see that. We've also been to Ball Aerospace and did the same kind of thing.
Late last year, we actually went with one of the students that we hired from Red Rocks and did a presentation in front of one of the classes, and it was really nice to be able to have a student that we hired from Red Rocks go and help do a presentation about what we're doing at Martin Martin and why the stuff that they're learning in class is important.
As the Employer Outreach Coordinator, I have met with over 200 employers. It was because of the CHAMP grant funding that they were able to hire for my position. My job is really to develop relationships with the employers because it's not really going to be a one-time thing. I have to listen to them to hear what they want out of the program and what they want out of our students, which then I think makes our students more employable.
They actually drove the curriculum. Without that CHAMP grant, none of this would have been possible at all. We have minimum of 12 companies here in our program telling us what we're doing wrong, telling us what we can improve on, and glorifying our successes.
Because the employers got to be so engaged in this process, they were able to help the educational providers understand specific skills that they needed people to have.
We actually started developing this program as a 2-year program. Industry came back to us and said, we have such a need out here today, we can't wait. We can't wait for 2 years. Can you scale the program back to a 1-year certificate program to start with?
I'm switching careers. I want to get as fast as I can into this machining job.
Students are able to actually get more experience in the same amount of calendar days.
We've incorporated a professionalism component into the program, not just the technical skills. Most of the companies have come back to us and said, one of the positive things we see about your program is you're giving them the fundamentals to be successful, to get the job, but also to be able to keep that job.
These people are working with us to expand our course offerings and also work with the students to help prepare them for more specific markets.
The goal at Red Rocks was to have 200 students enrolled in CHAMP courses, and to date we have over 450 students enrolled in our CHAMP courses. Through the grant, we've been able to decrease the amount of time it takes a student to earn a certificate or earn a credential and get into the workforce. We've been successful in creating fast-track classes. They're called accelerated courses. Students take 2 classes in 1 semester, they earn a certificate, and they're ready for employment.
I can get to know our students while they're here, and then I go out and meet a company, and after meeting with the company, I can say, I have the perfect person for you.
Once a school has a reputation, we always know that we can reach out to that school to add to our staff.
There were a lot of companies that would come in and ask for recruitments from the program itself.
The teachers will email students that they feel is the best candidate for that job position.
They know that the faculty is not just here to teach them, it's here to help them document the skills that they've learned and also to connect them with employers.
I know last year Lockheed Martin reached out to MSU Denver and they wanted to hire 7 co-op positions. All 7 of the positions went to the MSU Denver students. And now they're gonna up it up a little bit now. They're gonna take 10 this year and maybe 12 next year.
We've hired multiple people from Metro State, who was under the CHAMP grant, as well as Red Rocks Community College, which was under the CHAMP grant.
The people, having been trained under classes for the CHAMP grant, have come to us with a skill set greater than the students that we had to interview just 3 or 4 years ago. It has made a sizable difference. Rather than having to train people on the job, on a billable hour, on a project deadline, we've been able to use the skills of the staff that comes in and get them productive almost out of the gate.
We have over 98% placement rate. Everyone that's graduated from this program has received a job, those that wanted to. The 2% that aren't working in the industry decided they wanted to choose a different career path.
We have had several students and have students here today that attended Red Rocks who were very well prepared.
3 days after I got my sent off my first resume, I got a hit for a job and now waiting to start it.
The 2 that we've been able to hire part-time from Warren Tech through the CHAMP grant program have provided a good value to us. They've come in knowing and having familiarity with the equipment.
They'd pretty much give me a task, and using the knowledge from the school, I was able to just put two and two together and figure my way around the shop.
We hired somebody that went through is going through the CHAMP grant, and couldn't be more pleased, and we plan on hiring more. I showed him everything we did, and I was impressed with what he did, and I hired him immediately.
We were supposed to have 766 get a wage increase because of CHAMP. We've had almost 1,100. That's 144% of what our goal was. You're now affecting an individual, you're affecting a family, you're helping someone get to a better place in their life. What could be more important than helping people live better lives?
My sophomore year, I started letting the streets take most of my life. It was taking my school away. I started becoming an alcoholic. I started becoming a drug addict to the point where I almost started having heart failure from cocaine. After a while, I didn't see much of a future for myself. I just thought, I'm growing up on the streets, I'm gonna end up dying on here too. I got recommended, why not do something you're good at? The reason I got into mechanical is because you get to use a lot of machinery, and I love machines. There's no limit to what you can do with this degree, which is really nice.
I just recently acquired my associate degree in CAD. I actually used to be an electrical engineer, and then I had a traumatic brain injury. I was able to do a lot of my extra brain recovery here while going through the classes. I actually am coming here instead of going to a more local community college because of how good this program is.
Colleges are talking about what they can do to sustain what they've been able to achieve with CHAMP. What they're talking about is how they work differently with employers, how they're working differently with students, how they're looking at instruction in new and different ways. That's what's cool about CHAMP.
We came together as a consortium with businesses, government, community colleges, all to create a solution that helped our students accelerate their education as well as helped workers who were unemployed gain employment.
CHAMP is likely to have a long-term effect on our EGT program here because it's allowed us to expand our employer relations network.
We will always remember that the CHAMP grant was our stepping stone. We got equipment that we will be able to continue using. The industry will continue coming to do presentations. We will be able to make sure that progress keeps going as we keep our relations with the industry people.
In the very beginning, I was having to call people all the time, but now I get a lot of people calling me.
We took a look at our programs, we refined our programs, and we accelerated our programs so that students could actually complete their programs in less time, gaining more skills.
I really fell in love with manufacturing and how great it is for economics, how good it is for just a community in general.
CHAMP is teaching Americans how to build parts and staying in America. I think that's a very big thing.
I believe a program like the CHAMP program will help bring that industry back to this country.
Education is important, and any program that is enabling more students to get a better education that is linked to industry, back and forth, there's a symbiotic relationship, is a win-win for everybody. We get better qualified employee candidates. Our company thrives, and for that we gain, the student gains, and society gains.